What's good? What's good? What's good? Welcome back to another episode of Over the Counter Podcast. We are the Good Brothers of OTC. Man, back with another one. Another one. We have some interesting stuff happen this week, so we definitely gonna get into that. Major Coinbase hack on the docket. Genius Act was indeed failed, but it's being rewritten. So we gonna get into some speculation around that. Our credit rating dropped as a country, so we definitely gonna have to get into that and what that entails. And we got an update on the trade wars between United States and China. So not a whole lot on the docket, but still something to talk about as always for the week. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Starting with this Coinbase hack, bro. Them dudes got them for 20 million and it's really a 20 million ransom. That's what they want. In return, they receive all the customers' information back. So this group of hackers don't know the group name. Usually, hacker groups state they have a name, but for some reason, this one doesn't, or at least it hasn't been divulged just yet. So they stole a bunch of customers' sensitive information, like they got redacted social security numbers, so they only got like the last four or so numbers. They got address information, phone information. They got government IDs, even like your regular IDs. Whole bunch of information that ultimately is super sensitive. It's never a good thing. I'm kind of on Coinbase's head right now because as sophisticated of a company as Coinbase, with as high of an evaluation Coinbase has, you would think their data privacy policies were a lot tighter, but clearly not. And I personally have been receiving a whole bunch of weird text messages stemming from Coinbase. My mama been hitting me up about Coinbase, texting her about her account, all types of stuff. So I can only imagine how widespread this issue really is. I mean, hell, even some people in my circle on X have been talking about, being hit up by Coinbase impersonators. So it seems like a really big deal. A lot of people in the crypto community are not messing with Coinbase. They drop in Coinbase entirely and going to other exchanges. It's been a major fallout. But in response to this hack, Coinbase, instead of giving up 20 million to pay the ransom, they put up a 20 million bounty to whoever can find the supposed hackers. So we just gonna have to see how that fall out. But man, this pretty major. It's pretty major to say the least.
For one, the first thing I think of whenever I think about these hacks is we've talked about this several times. Y'all have to stop keeping your assets on an exchange because
Absolutely.
as an investor, you got to take some sort of accountability. If you don't have your stuff in a cold wallet, hot wallet, then you don't own your assets, point blank, period. When you're leaving your assets on an exchange, these things can happen. They've been happening for years now. And sometimes, more times than not, people do not receive those assets back. And luckily, mainly, this is a data breach, which I mean, that's
Hmm.
not too much. That's not too much better, but another thing, these exchanges, they got to do better. They got to do better when it comes to their security. I think this is what, like the third or fourth hack this year.
Yeah, it's pretty major. I mean, a lot of hacks have been um, happening over the years. I mean, the largest hack happened just last year in crypto history. So yeah, they're not. They're. I don't think these hacks are going to slow down, especially as crypto gets more and more mainstream. It's only going to increase. So I mean, yeah, we got to get better at how we uh, secure and safeguard our assets because we don't have FDIC. You know, in the crypto space, we don't have any type of insurance protection for crypto just yet. And I'm trying to find this post made by, and usually I try to omit the the user, but I'm sorry, Investopedia, you got the definitions of cold and hot, or at least hot wallet. You got cold wallet right.
Man,
You
yo.
got you got cold wallet right, but the definition of a hot wallet is wrong. and EYL. You need to do a better job of
Mm.
who you allowing to speak on the crypto topic, because if your main resource is Investopedia, man, you got do better. Anyway, so Investopedia defines a hot wallet as an exchange that holds it for you as a custodian. That is the wrong definition of a hot wallet. That I wouldn't even define an exchange as a hot wallet. A hot wallet is still a wallet that you hold. A custodian, if you allow a custodian like a Coinbase or Uphold or any type of exchange, even Robinhood, that is not a hot wallet. That is still a wallet that you do not own. You do not own the keys to that. A hot wallet is a MetaMask, a Bifrost, a Trust wallet. I can keep going down the list, right? There's several other indie hot wallets out there, up and coming hot wallets, where you still own the keys to that wallet. Therefore, you can directly control the custody of those assets. It's called self custody for a reason, non custodial wallets for a reason. So I would never define an exchange as a hot wallet, because it's not. A hot wallet is a wallet that you still own the keys to. It's more for active liquidity usage, meaning you're probably operating or using those assets for things like DeFi, right? A cold wallet is a ledger device. You got that right. A decent wallet, a treasure. I can go down the list of hot wallets that I could recommend, right? But if you're gonna be telling people, if you're gonna be trying to educate people, especially the masses, you got to get your definitions right. And I'm not saying that I'm better than Investopedia or Earn Your Leisure, none of that. I'm just simply saying, with the given state that crypto is in, for not just from a minority demographic perspective, but anybody that may be searching for information or knowledge in the crypto space, you got to get your definitions right. We already are known as the scam or get rich quick industry. We got to do our best to kill that sentiment. And wrongly defining things does not help that case. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, take the mic before I say something.
Hey, if you do not have a seed phrase, you do not own your crypto.
1000%.
Those are your keys. If you don't have that, buy, Coinbase isn't giving you that. Uphold isn't giving you that. BitTrue isn't giving you that. None of these, they're not giving you seed. If you don't have a seed phrase, and you'll get that, whether it's a hot wallet or a cold wallet, you don't own your keys. So that just simple as that. If you ain't got no seed phrase access to that wallet, it's
It's
not your.
not your crypto. It's not yours. That's why I just did it before the call. I got paid for a service. I bought some crypto with it. I didn't leave it on the exchange. I sent it to a wallet I controlled immediately, and then we hit record. I literally was not hitting record until I did that. Even if we about to be here for an hour, I don't care. I don't leave any crypto on an exchange for any amount of time. That's literally my workflow. I bought a crypto, I moved the crypto off the exchange that I bought it from into a wallet that I control. Like we got to do better, because at a certain point, like my man said, you got to take some type of accountability as the investor. You cannot sit up there and all these knowledgeable influencers, if that's what you want to call them, in the crypto space, have told you over and over and over again over the years that, yo, until we get certain protections, do not leave your crypto on the exchange. Because if you think your crypto is safe on an exchange, just go buy the ETF. Just
Yes.
go buy the ETF, which is a totally different topic. But
Pay them a
you
fee.
clearly not ready to custody your own assets yet.
Yeah. Go ahead, pay them the fee to hold it for you. Since it makes no sense at this point, because it literally takes seconds to send your assets from the exchange. I won't say it may not take seconds for a cold wallet. Probably take a couple minutes. Hot
Right.
wallet, seconds.
Real easy, real easy. And think about it like this: when you get into crypto, before you buy any asset, you need to have a strategy. You need to have a plan. And part of your plan and part of your strategy needs to be how you going to custody your assets, self custody your assets. Meaning, I don't even keep my whole net worth on the hot wallet. I still got hella assets on my cold wallet. The only assets that's on my hot wallet are assets that I'm actively using for DeFi strategies. And even that, at a certain point, I'm incorporating my cold storage wallet into my DeFi strategy, whether that's stables only or whatever it may look like, right? So there's different ways you can leverage cold and hot wallets in the same strategy. But we have to get more knowledgeable on this particular topic, especially as more and more people get into the crypto space, because the most annoying thing for me as somebody that's been in crypto for a while is somebody that I've told, bro, I laid out the blueprint for you. And then you go and do the exact opposite, and then you get burned, and now you mad at me. Why are you mad at me? I told you. Well, you're not necessarily mad at me. You just taking your frustration out on me. But I told you how to play this step by step. Matter of fact, here's receipts of the text messages. You feel me? So we just got to get better at this, because as we become more and more knowledgeable, less and less money gets stolen out of the space from hardworking individuals. Hardworking individuals that's trying to make something shake, that see this as a generational changing or generational altering opportunity, and then it all gets stripped away because you didn't do your due diligence of protecting your assets.
I'll
That's
say
a sad place to be.
I'll say this, and maybe we're gonna have to do an episode really like breaking this down, shutter screen. You before you, if you're new to investing crypto, stocks, whatever it may be, you do not need to even think about buying an asset before you learn how to set up a brokerage. If you're talking about stocks, you don't need to be buying cryptos before you learn what hot wallets are, cold wallets, how to send and receive money, how to properly store your seed phrase. Because if you lose that, you're finished. It's always rules to the game. Y'all be wanting to get to the money so fast and do this and do that, and you're not protecting the bag. You're not protecting the investment. Just I'm pretty sure there's people who have had hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting on exchange, and it just disappears one day, and nobody can tell you nothing. You have nobody to call. Can't call the police. Can't call Coinbase.
You're right, and I mean they for shit show ain't gonna help you.
It's fun. It's this. This is fundamental. This is fundamentals. You got
Absolutely.
to care about your assets. You got to protect your assets, and that's pretty much all it boils down to. I mean, at this point, I hate to sound hard or heartless. If you're getting your assets swiped off of an exchange in 2025, it's your fault. I have no sympathy for you.
Bro, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there. Even if you don't look at mine, there's plenty of other creators that have made similar videos that we all speak. You can tell when somebody's crypto native when they tell you, not your keys, not your crypto. That is the golden phrase in the crypto space. Not your keys, not your crypto. That's one of the first things that I learned before I hopped in this game. Anybody that's really about this crypto thing, they're going to tell you that. They're going to tell you hey, before you do anything, make sure you buy a Ledger device right from Ledger. Make sure you buy a Trezor device right from Trezor. Not Amazon, not some third party, right from the source. And then you proceed with your investing journey, because that's part of it. That's part of the investment, is ensuring you have the right equipment, the right whatever, to properly store your assets. Otherwise, you out here with no raincoat on. You out here raw dogging the journey.
That boy, wow, man.
That's not. I mean, come on, bro.
Hey, you ain't lying though. It's just crazy because like you wouldn't take. Let's say you got a $10,000 portfolio. You wouldn't take $10,000 cash and just sit it outside on the sidewalk, and anybody who can walk by can just take it. No, you're gonna conceal it. You're gonna put it in a bank. You're gonna put it in a safe. You're gonna put it in a wallet. It's the same thing with crypto. When you leave your stuff on the exchange, any hacker, anybody who's savvy enough, anybody who wants to go get that can go get that.
Absolutely. It's not hard. No, it's not hard, bro. Lesson of the day: hey, don't hit this journey without a hat on. Don't raw dog the crypto investing journey.
You said no.
Hey, yo, I'm just trying to put it in terms that everybody can understand. You feel me? No matter what demographic you fall in, when you watch this podcast here, we want to make sure you can understand what we're saying. So, hey, lesson of the day: do not go through this crypto journey without self custodying your assets. And I'm not trying to dump on Investopedia or Earn Your Leisure. OGs in the game, all the respect. But yo, we got to do better at defining some of this stuff if we expect crypto to really hit mainstream and for our mainstream aspect of the audience to really understand what we saying and for these things to hit home, right? We got to define our things right. So a hot wallet is not an exchange wallet. I would never put an exchange in that category whatsoever. An exchange is an exchange, just like a brokerage is a brokerage, right? However, I know in a traditional sense, you don't have other options to custody your stocks or the receipts to your stocks, but in crypto we do. So we got to be better at defining this stuff. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Yeah, and also stuff like this makes it harder for a regulation to pass when we're having people unnecessarily getting their stuff taken, people losing, feeling like crypto is a scam. It just makes it harder for regulation. It puts a black eye on crypto because people are already kind of on the fence about it, especially the older demographic, which is why things like ETFs, are becoming profitable. So y'all just do y'all research, man. Protect your assets. That's it. We ain't gonna drag.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I mean, 15 minutes on this topic is more than enough. So while we in this vein of crypto, let's go ahead and hop on the Genius Act. It did not pass, but we got several senators hopping on national TV, whether it's CNBC or other financial news shows, talking about why it didn't pass and what needs to occur in order for it to pass. So it's some minor changes that are being made to the Genius Act, whether it's KYC, AML related or other protections being added or just swapping the language, because it's always about the language with this stuff. It's semantics. They like to play the semantic game to either prolong something like this or just to be sure things are as clear as possible in the language. So when it does get passed, institutions that may be impacted or retail that may be impacted, it's no room for misinterpretation. And depending on the type of legislation, yeah, I'll say there's some room for interpretation. So it's loose, but for something like this, it got to be ironclad, right? We ain't got time to be having stable coins not have the proper reserves, and then when people try and go to redeem, now you got issues with redeeming because there's not enough reserves to back that redemption. We ain't got time for that. So ironclad rules and regulations, policies in the Genius Act. I'm all for that, even though I ain't with the flip flopping. If you was cool with it before it got to a certain level, why wasn't you cool with it then when it was time to vote on it? I got issues with that, but I am cool with the fact that they're like, no, we ain't saying no entirely. Like, this is just not the act that we need to pass. We need another one. It's just we need to make some minor tweaks to it, then we good. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they spoke about some of the language and security issues, all of that kind of stuff with stable coins, but we'll just have to see, man. I don't really see. I've never looked at stable coins as something that had any security issues. I mean, it's supposed to be back 1 to 1 to a dollar, so the value doesn't change. I've never. Have you ever heard of anybody doing anything criminal with stable coins or laundering
No,
any?
I mean, what's funny is so there's members of Congress that have tried to paint crypto as the preferred way, the preferred payment method for criminal activity. But fam, crypto is not anonymous. Like I can find out who you are if I really wanted to. Like there's programs like Arkham that I can do enough breadcrumbs to where it's like, oh, Jimbo down the street on that wallet. Let's go get him. You feel me? Or whatever the case may be. Um, so yeah, this whole idea that crypto is anonymous is hilarious to me. Um, no government is ever going to support completely anonymous transactions. It sound good. It sounded good in the beginning back in 2010, 2008, 2009, whatever. But that would never be accepted by any government. They will pull out the tanks before they let us just have bread and they don't know about it. You feel me? So, yeah, it's really hard to do criminal activity with crypto, especially if you're using an exchange as an off ramp, because you got a KYC to exchanges. Almost all exchanges require some level of KYC. So at some point or another, we gonna find out who you are. If you really want to conduct criminal activity, you use cash.
Yeah, crypto ain't really. It's not really one I would use for criminal
No,
activity. So, what? How do
no.
you feel about? How do you feel about Senator Warren saying that this Genius Act, the stable coins being a thing, would enable or accelerate Trump's ability to indulge in financial corruption?
How?
She ain't said.
If she can explain how.
She just said it would accelerate his corruption.
Okay, if you could present me a problem without giving me an example, shut the hell up. You feel me? Like how? Because and how is it? How are you solely pointing out Trump? What do you mean? Y'all been doing insider trading for I don't know how long. What do you mean financial corruption? What are we talking about? Like, are you for real? Stable coins is how we bro. Come on, get
If
out of
she
here
was
with
gonna
that.
talk about the financial corruption, I would even took it more serious if she was talking about the Trump coin or something like that. But with
Right.
a stable coin, I don't really see how you would leverage that in order to. I don't know what corrupt acts he would commit with that. I mean,
Right. Even without proper regulations in order or in place, legit stablecoin companies like Circle, who issues USDC, Tether, despite their audit, gray areas or whatever, they also have a certain reserve requirements. Ripple's RLUSD has reserve requirements, and on top, not only does Ripple have reserve requirements, they also used to publicly disclose their audits. Like, yo, this was our quarterly report. This is also includes our audit. They stopped doing it for the time being, so they can get more in line with what they see coming down the pike in terms of regulation. But even Tether, one of the company or stablecoin issuers that used to be considered shady, they got reserve requirements, and it's reserved. It's backed 1-to-1 to cash or cash equivalents. We got to get educated more on what cash equivalents are. An easy example of a cash equivalent is U.S. Treasuries. I just excuse me, earlier today, or I think as when I saw this tweet, they said somebody got on Twitter and was like, "Yo, U.S. debt is the safest bet out of everything, out of every country right now." What is U.S. debt? U.S. debt is U.S. Treasuries. One of the biggest buyers. I'm talking like top 10, top 8, or top 10 to top 20 biggest buyers of U.S. Treasuries is Tether. Like, come on, man. There's a paper trail for that, right? So I see statements like that, as in U.S. debt is the best play right now, or best play in general. That to me is signaling to stablecoin issuers, because as the demand for stablecoins continues to increase, the demand for U.S. debt is also going to increase, because not only do I have to, in order for a stablecoin issuer to issue more stablecoins, they have to have equivalent backing. Which means if I want to continue to issue my stablecoin, I got to make sure I'm buying enough treasuries. Uncle Sam ain't never gonna trip off that, because now you helping me push off my inflation. You helping me push off my bad debt to and spread and distribute that across the world hell of a lot easier. US has hit the ceiling to be able to do that on their own, meaning selling their debt to other governments, other countries, right? Stablecoin issuers basically increase that distribution potential exponentially. So it's, in my opinion, it's in our best interest as a country to get some stablecoin regulation off the ground so we can get that ball rolling. And there's going to be even more stablecoin issuers. Banks about to start issuing stablecoins. Your credit union about to start issuing stablecoin. All types of stuff. So to me, I just see this ticking up, ticking up. I don't see how you can be corrupt with a stable coin unless we start passing CBDCs, and that's a whole different topic. That's basically the stablecoin version of an asset that the government can revoke at any time. We don't want that.
Nah.
We want regular stable coins. So yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. I really don't, because even without regulations, these stablecoin companies are essentially making their own regulations and saying, "Yo, industry standard, gotta have enough reserves. You can only issue stablecoins as long as you got enough to back that issuance in reserves." And some companies take it a step further, like Ripple, and they give you the report. They give you their quarterly report. They give you their audit. Is it going to be industry standard through by law? We'll see. But they right now, these stablecoin issuers, they're self-governing essentially. So I don't know. I mean, if you want to be legit, you're gonna do everything in your power to present yourself as legit.
Hey man, that's a perfect segue.
Perfect segue. Because what's up with the credit rating?
All right, man. So for those of you that don't know, Moody's ratings, they're one of the big three. I think believes there's Moody's, Standard and Poor, and Fitch ratings. These are the three big agencies when it comes to credit ratings for pretty much countries, different organizations, companies, stuff like that. So essentially, Moody's, they pretty much indicate the likelihood that an entity, like I said, country, company, financial instrument can meet its long-term financial obligations. And these ratings are usually used by investors, regulators, financial institutions to evaluate credit risk. So, with that being said, they have dropped the United States credit rating from AAA to AA1. What does that mean? Essentially, these credit ratings, they're losing faith in the fiscal responsibility of the United States. They think our trajectory is not looking good. Currently have a $36 trillion deficit. And they're actually the last one to go ahead and finally drop a Standard and Poor downgraded the U.S. credit rating from AAA to AA plus in 2011. Fitch ratings downgraded the U.S. credit rating from AAA to AA plus in August of 2023. So the United States fiscally has been deteriorating for a long time now, which is why, things like crypto, which is why, whether you agree with it or not, some of the efforts of by Doge to cut certain spending and all that kind of stuff has been such a big deal because the United States is not looking good when it comes to our financial future if things don't change. I looked up, put it on ChatGPT with the current spending, our current deficits, our current financial obligations. How long would it be before the United States, quote unquote, went broke? And all that I looked it up on here and I looked it up in a couple of different places, and everything I seen said 10 to 15 years. And that's not a long
Bro,
time.
that's a blink.
10
You
to
blink
15,
your eyes,
that's
bro.
our lifetime.
Right. Oh, I don't. Hey, after hearing that, I don't want to hear nobody question me why most of my net worth is in crypto. I don't want to hear that no more because this is crazy. But that credit rating drop kind of goes in line with what we also saw today. We saw the 30-year Treasury note above 5% today, and that ain't happened for I don't know how long. It's been a long time since that's happened. Then you drop down to the 10-year Treasury note, the note that most economists look at to determine the future, the far in the future outlook of how they expect the economy to be, markets, all types of stuff. The 10-year Treasury note increased by 11 basis points today. So the 10-year normally starts decreasing when the markets feel like or the economists feel like, yo, we heading in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? It start increasing when it's like, yo, we not, hey, it ain't looking good. And then when the 30-year note, so that's 3 decades out into the future, we up over above 5%. That means people who are buying 30-year notes right now, they making 5% on their money, right? That's dire. That's almost That is terrible for the economy for the 30-year note to be 5% right now, right? And then that's why when you start looking at these reports that the Fed coming out with inflation lowering, yada yada yada, like, man, it's hard for me to believe that. It's hard for me to believe because it's like, man, the numbers that you're reporting, they months old by the time you report it. They not real time. And the 10-year and the 30-year, well, more so on the 10-year side, they act more so in real time. 30-year, it takes a minute. But the fact that the 30-year is at 5% or above 5% right now, and then the 10-year bumped up another 11 basis points, man, that ain't looking good. That ain't looking good. I'll trust the 10-year note and its yield before I trust what the Fed telling me.
Yeah, I think that's why it's even more important to get a stable coin, because one of the biggest threats when it comes to us continuing down this path of how we are financially. For one, the federal debt held by the public is projected to rise from 97% of GDP in 2024 to 116% by 2034 and over 130% by 2040. And another one of the big threats, like we talked about with BRICS and all of the stuff that they got going on, is a loss of us being the reserve currency. So if that happened, and I don't, Trump can say what he wants and say things aren't as bad as they look, and oh, we're doing fine. The numbers are saying something else. These credit ratings, that the alarm been ringing since 2011. Apparently,
Mm-hmm.
2011 and 2023. Now the third and final one has also dropped the rating. So it's like the debt is increasing. All of our credit ratings have been dropped. Stable coins seem like the answer to me.
That is the answer. That is the answer. My inside plug on the whole stablecoin situation literally spelled it out for me. That is the answer. That is my stance now. If we don't, it's almost a matter of national security for us to put out a stablecoin legislation bill and start letting the private sector and the banking sector issue stablecoins in a responsible manner. Because how else are we going to distribute our debt to then bring funds in without cutting the money printer on? Because that's always been our solution. All we need some bread, cut the money printer on. But you just increasing inflation. You kicking the can get down the road. At a certain point, inflation is going to get out of hand, which I feel like it is. It's longer, it's higher for longer. They want to tell us, oh yeah, it decreased, Bruh, there were periods where, yeah, this quarter it wasn't so bad. Next quarter, hey man, it's ridiculous out here. And so on and so forth. So I really wish the Fed would kind of pivot to more real-time data.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
You know what I'm saying? Like, utilize both. Why not leverage both types of data that you have at your disposal? Why are you only looking at laggard indicators?
I guess they don't be seeing the numbers we see, because for anybody, even regardless of what Doge has been doing, everything that's been going on, the federal deficit it ain't been cut. I don't care what they're saying. We haven't reduced spending by a wide margin, and it's projected by 2035 that the federal deficits could widen nearly 9% of GDP.
I believe it. I watched a video where I was getting some maintenance done on my car this weekend, and it was how, like, this past presidential election wasn't really Republicans versus Democrats. It was more so oligarchs, which is the Republican side, and corporatists, which is the Democrat side. Right. So you got different philosophies on either side, but ultimately, kind of goes to what I was saying. They care about what they care about, which ain't necessarily making it easier for the common folk. If it's the corporatists, then obviously you want everything to be in favor of corporations. If you're on the oligarchs side, then obviously you want everything to be in favor of that type of aristocratic hierarchy, right? Where it's more chaotic and whatever, right? So none of that has anything to do with the common people. none of those philosophies ultimately benefit the common person. So that goes to show you when I was talking about before the election, yo, it ain't gonna matter who the president is if they don't actually fix these key issues. We screwed either way. We screwed either way, and I feel like that's been holding true. I to this day, I don't think if we went back in time and Kamala Harris won, would we be in a better position? It may look a little different, but we ain't gonna be better off. I really don't think we're gonna be better off because y'all was complaining about price gouging on what you think what you think would have happened if the corporatists won? Oh yeah, player. Not only is we sending money overseas, increasing inflation. Hey, eggs. Let me get 10 on that. You feel me? So it's like, bro, we in the same situation. You can't look at you even with Trump in office, who we all thought was going to be best for the markets. You can't go outside and tell me it's gotten better, bro. You can't. You just can't. And I'm speaking from a person who has kind of defended a lot of the stuff Trump been doing. You know what I'm saying? And being that minority voice or being part of that minority crowd, bro. When I go outside, it ain't looking better. I'm looking at other things to beat what's going on outside. You feel me? So, man, like I said, until something meaningful changes, and unfortunately, fortunately, whatever, I think it has a lot to do with crypto. I think that's going to be our saving grace to a degree. Whether people want to believe it or not, I think it's going to be gold and crypto, bro. I really do. I really do.
Whatever it's going to be, we need to find it quick because at this rate, I just did the calculations on my phone. 9% of GDP by 2035. That means our $36 trillion deficit by 2035 would have turned into $68.4 trillion.
That's almost double.
So I'm saying like we got
Bro, that's double.
we got to figure something out because they're not cutting spending. There's actually no way we can even cut spending when you talk about all of the initiatives and things we're trying to do as far as build manufacturing over here, as far as this AI war with China, as far as military spending, as far as our interest rates and all. We got too much going on. So the spending is not going to stop. So they need to find another way besides just going and firing random people via Doge to get a hold of this spending, man. Get a hold of this spending. Change some financial policy. We need to get a new Fed chair in there, like we talked about, and we need to be some real reform because over the last since I've been an adult, it's just like there's been a lot of patching of the holes. And
Yeah, I mean, and when does that ever work? You feel
it,
me? I mean, they do that all the time.
that to
They do
catch
that.
up.
Right, right.
I need to
They
see.
they they do that all the time with the roads here in Oklahoma. How long does the patch job tend to last before they like screw it? We got to repave the whole road. But by that time, you didn't spend all this money repatching instead of just saving money in the long run by just repaving the thing the first time.
Bro. So I just looked up because I want to know what was the federal deficit when in 2013 when I graduated high school, and that was that 12 years ago,
Just about, yeah.
almost. The deficit then was only 680 billion, and we've gotten to 36 trillion in that short amount of time. Insane.
Something got to give. Don't know what it's going to be, but you always want to make sure your ducks is in a row, regardless of what's going on outside. Don't. I mean, yeah, obviously, anytime is the best time to start investing in assets, regardless of what it is. But it come time situations like this where I hate to say it, but it almost be too late. Before the ball really have gotten down the hill. But again, I mean, you can stop the rain a little bit. Get yourself some cover a little bit by accumulating valuable assets. So you can really regardless of policy, regardless of who president is, you insulated. You feel me? So That's definitely the goal for any investor to be, where it's like shit, regardless of what's going on, I'm good. You feel me? So, man, just gonna leave y'all a little bit with that. But while we in the topic of government, we talked about some of these ancillary wars that we got going on. We got the AI war, but man, we also got this trade war. It's not just the AI front. We got this trade front too. In China, they playing ball. They playing they version of ball. We playing ball. We measuring, seeing who got the bigger one. You feel me? So what's up with this trade war? What's the update on that?
Man, we had the pause. We had the 90-day pause, which took place earlier this month, with U.S. reducing our tariffs from 145 to 30%, and then Chinese tariffs lowered from 125 to 10%. But today, China imposed a anti-dumping duties of 75% on plastic imports from the U.S., European Union, Japan, and Taiwan, aiming to counteract what China perceives as unfair pricing practices by foreign exporters that harm its domestic plastic industry. And they also pretty much said that the U.S. needs to, get their stuff together, man. They lashed out at Trump today, which further shows us that regardless of this 90-day pause, there's still big tensions between the United States and China, which we already knew. We already knew. We still haven't found a deal for Snapchat, not Snapchat, um, TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't reached no ground with China. We talked about last week. We ain't heard nothing from Mexico, Canada. We ain't been hearing nothing with these trade wars, and it's starting to look. I hate to say it. It's starting to. I think Trump been winging it, gang. Hey, you can't tell me it's calculated when all we've been doing is going tit for tat. You raise, oh, I'm gonna raise my higher. You raise yours, I'm gonna raise my higher. We ain't gonna back down till they give us what they want, and then we get these 90-day pauses right before some historic tariff supposed to go into place, and then y'all start arguing again, and then now we got 100 countries, trillions and billions, and
Yeah.
everybody lining up to do a deal with us. And we ain't heard about none of these deals. I think the only deal we heard about EU, India
India.
having a
Yeah.
deal. But where's all these deals you're talking about? And where's all the money that's supposed to be pouring in from these deals? What happened to all the money that those are supposed to be saving us and bringing in?
Look, man, if this was my last hoorah, I would not want to go out like this. I would not want to go out like this. I would not want to go out as this type of president. So hopefully something turn around, but it ain't looking good right now, man. It looked like we all getting fed a bunch of bullshit.
They said he said he's never had so many people ask him to do a third term.
All right, dog.
We can't too much
Hey,
win.
hey, who is Trump's right hand man, man? What pills is he taking before he go to bed, bro?
Where
What's
Elon
his
at? He been real
like?
quiet lately.
Hey, he need to be.
Where Elon at?
Hey, nah, Elon, you be quiet. You keep being quiet
I ain't
because
heard from
Tesla.
him.
Hey, Tesla, it ain't looking good. You got some other problems that you need to deal with. So yeah, shut up, Elon. Like, and that is coming from a place of love. Shut up.
Hey man, so the deficit is out of control. The United States government, or I'll say Congress, is still stymieing crypto after all this time. The spending hasn't stopped. The interest rates haven't come down. We still got tension between Jerome Powell, Trump. We still got tensions with China. None of the trade deals have been settled. Um, we still got proxy wars going on. Those haven't been settled.
Man, you just reminded me of something. Cynthia Loomis, Senator Cynthia Loomis out of Wyoming. What are you doing?
What happened with
What are
Cynthia?
you doing? What are you doing? I heard you canceled a meeting with my boy Brad Garlandhouse from Ripple, and you not rescheduled. Hey, dog, I'm gonna just tell you this: the crypto community, especially the XRP army, went through years of BS like this coming from the government. Don't get on your maxi stuff with BTC. Don't do that. Because you really, as a senator, you have no room to play favorites. You got to do everything inclusive if you got to slap some legislation going. You can't pick winners and losers. You got to let the market do that. If it's really a free market, you got to let the market do that. So if you have an opportunity to get in the room with certain leaders in the industry, you can't show favoritism. So what's up?
I don't understand that, because do you or do you not want crypto, not just Bitcoin, crypto as a whole, to win? There doesn't have to be one winner. I would have thought her of all people will understand that.
Right.
That's
But clearly, I don't know, because why is Brad Garlinghouse tweeting his disappointment, Cynthia? Now maybe that was of bad taste, but unfortunately, especially coming from the XRP side of the house, we got to get like that, because y'all like to do stuff behind them closed doors and leave the public out. But once the public know, oh, now y'all want to get y'all act together. Nah, don't do that. Don't do that, because I thought you was gonna be a good front runner, a good face of crypto regulation, because you seem to have a good head on your shoulders. You seem to understand the importance of the technology, but also the importance of inclusion of all the different legitimate cryptos in the space, legit builders. Man, don't get in there and show your ass because you finally in there. Because just hey, the crypto community can pull their support just as fast as they gave it to you. So don't do that. Don't do that. Abide by or act in the best favor for your constituents, and you won't have no problems. That's it.
Does she have some official role in Trump's administration when it comes to crypto?
Not that I know of. I think she tried, and people kind of wondered, like, why you didn't tap Cynthia Loomis. But stuff like this, I kind of can see why. I can kind of see why.
When XRP, when I first came into crypto in 2018, everybody loved XRP. And then when they were fighting the case, the whole crypto community was rallying behind them. Then once the dust settled, then it became XRP versus Bitcoin. Well, I don't even understand the competition, because if these was athletes, it's like, as far as accolades and where they stand when it comes to a fiscal level, it's like Michael Jordan arguing with goddamn, I don't fucking know, the nigga on the bench,
Right.
Bronny.
Right.
It's like, why y'all make y'all number one? That's never gonna change.
Right.
Y'all boys starting to get like stocks.
No, I don't like that. That's a
like stocks.
That's a subsect of the community. Because where I'm sitting, I don't care if you ETH, you XRP, hell, you could be Dogecoin for all I care. And I'm coming, and y'all, I'm coming from Flare. Flare, that's my home network, that's my home chain. But I'm all about XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, Sui. I don't care. HBAR. I could keep naming a few. I don't care. We can all work together and make bread together. I don't care. I really don't. So that should be the approach from a government perspective, especially if you're talking about passing legislation, making this stuff federally recognized. I don't care what stablecoin you are. I like them all. Some people prefer USDC over USDT. Some people like DAI. Some people like whatever stablecoin. I don't care. Can I or can I not use it for what I need to use it for? Can I or can I not earn a yield? Can I or can I not take this stablecoin, go to the grocery store, buy some groceries? If the answer is yes, cool, we can do business. The answer is no, what are we talking about?
Hey, it don't really matter who kicking the door as long as we all get in.
Right.
I don't know why they think it's one or nothing.
One or the other. Like, hey, that tribalism, that's how we get caught up. That's a divide and conquer type tactic. So if you want crypto to be taken seriously, hey, stop that tribalism. Stop that maxi mentality because we ain't getting nowhere with that. So, yeah, you just reminded me of Cynthia. That kind of pissed me off on the way home. I was kind of disappointed in Cynthia Loomis because, bro, like we just ain't got time for that, man. We already struggling to get a stablecoin act passed, man. We really ain't got time for the maxi mentality to infect our elected leaders. We don't have time for that whatsoever. So, man, that's really it. I didn't had to. I don't know what got into me today. I usually don't call out people like that.
Well, we did call out all kind of people.
Hey, I'm shooting shots today. So, I mean, if you got a problem, you know where to watch. You know where to find us. This is OTC, Over the Counter Podcast. We ain't going nowhere. We're going to be back here next week. Hey. If you got an issue, speak on it.
I ain't even had to do too much talking today, boy. You was going crazy.
hey, it must be that Saratoga got me.
Hey, man, come on, man. Hey, Saratoga, man.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Get y'all's act together, and I won't have to get like this because I'm normally not like this. I'm normally cool. I'm normally, we can all work together. But today, y'all got me messed up. Y'all got me messed up. So get y'all's act together because we all supposed to be working together. We all supposed to be educating properly, whether that's the side of content you making, or we all trying to like build inclusive legislation so that we can all get through that door and we all win it. It's more than enough money around here for all of us to win. We ain't got to do this whole me versus you thing. So it is what it is. But you got any closing remarks? Because that's really the docket.
I'll say this. I guess we'll see what happens this next week. But I've been getting a lot of questions about pretty much the basics and the fundamentals of charting and technical analysis. So if we don't have a busy docket next week, I know that's something we could both probably speak on and pull up screen and kind of do it right down. So that might go ahead and do that next week because I've been getting asked a whole lot about that.
Yeah, no, we could easily do that. We can also get into like some mindset stuff because a lot of people, they talk about the money aspect, but a lot of people don't think about the mindset shift that you have to be a successful investor. So we could definitely get into some of that. And there's several other topics that aren't necessarily directly market related, but it's all tools that you can add to your toolbox, especially if you plan on being a successful investor. Definitely want to divulge that type of game and that transition, share that transitional journey that we've all had to go through. I've had to go through it. I'm sure my man's over here had to go through it as well. So yeah, that's definitely something we can get into.
Yeah, man.
With that being said, we've been the Good Brothers of OTC. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.